Hey everyone, it's Andre Luck here to share my video for this week. Over the past week, I've been fortunate enough to speak with some past colleagues of mine, some sellers in the sports industry, specifically talking about B2B. And coming into this and recording a lot of my videos, I thought the biggest opportunity that I saw was more on the marketing side and supporting your sales team with efforts to drive more leads to the sales team, people coming inbound, people raising their hand, because those people convert at a much higher rate. But as I've had conversations, a lot of the opportunity actually starts at a more foundational level. So when you're working with the sales team, like getting started with B2B, as I've said before, many sellers in sports, they've focused on selling B2C, so families, consumers, past buyers, and they really see an opportunity looking to go outbound. But many as sellers are like, where do I start? And for me, a lot of it's been just cold, grab a list, start calling people outbound, old school, do maybe like a Google search of top companies in your market or in your city and everything like that. But there's some tips that I want to talk through that if you're a seller, this could be brand new to sports sales, or maybe you've been doing it for a little bit and you want to dive into businesses, obviously work with your supervisor on this. But there's some tips that I want to lay out, and I have some notes over here to the side. So if you see me look over, I want to make sure that I don't forget anything here. These are a few tips that, as I've had conversations, opportunities that I see that we can improve, and someone getting started out can improve also. So the first step for me, or at least the first piece of advice, is there's really no silver bullet. I think a lot of people are looking for that low-hanging fruit. What's the quick win? What's the quick opportunity? And they may be out there, but that's more work that you've done leading up to this point. It's not going to be the same for everyone. Every situation's different. Every account base is different. Every demand for the team is going to be different, so there's really no silver bullet. But if you have consistent processes and you stay committed to it, over time you're going to see results. And then 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, you'll see your revenue significantly increase, differentiate and separate yourself from others on the staff that maybe are not doing this on a more consistent basis. So that would be my first tip. And then the other part of this is, although we work for a sports team and these brands are, sometimes iconic and people get really excited that we talk to on a daily basis, assume your business prospect doesn't care about sports. And again, that seems shocking because, maybe you have people in your account base that are businesses, that are big sports fans. Like myself personally, if I were to entertain clients, I would probably do it at a baseball game because I'm a huge baseball fan. But that's not always the case. Maybe people do it more because their employees want to do it, or their clients or their prospects enjoy baseball, or they've just seen or heard from others that they know that they get a good ROI from it. But you want to save that for last. You really want to position yourself as a business consultant, someone who's going to dive in and help them achieve their business goals and outcomes, not sell them sports tickets. So starting at a high level, that's the mindset you need to go into it before you start doing your outreach and going through this process. And for any seller, what I recommend is starting with your current book of business if you're fortunate enough to have one. Maybe if you're new to the organization, you've inherited a book or you've had it for a few years, or there's people that you've sold. Really dive in there and investigate. All right, what is the current makeup of my book? How much of it is B2C? How much of it is B2B? And out of that B2B, who are some of the buyers? And within that, I guarantee there's some quicker, I'm not going to say quick wins, there's some quicker opportunities to get referrals or get upsells or cross sells or gain more revenue out of what's currently in your book before having to go fully outbound. Someone who's already expressed interest, someone who's already purchased from you, it's more likely that you're going to sell them something else versus going new to people that we don't know if there's intent or interest yet. So start within your current book. And I'd say if you haven't had this conversation with them, really reset. If it's been all about tickets and servicing the account and the fandom and sports that you've had conversations about, you haven't had a true business conversation with them, reset the conversation, learn what does their company do to make money, what is their role, what are their responsibilities, what are they incentivized on, what's their reason for wanting to have the tickets, and how can you help them achieve the outcome that they're looking for, like what are they metriced on based on their purchase and spend. So go into that conversation, whether it's on a quarterly basis or semi-annual, like set up a cadence to meet with all of your business accounts to have a business conversation. Don't go into it with the product that you want to pitch. Don't, go into it expecting to hear something that then you're going to propose something if it makes sense. Or, as you're talking to them about, their goals for the next quarter or things that are high on their priority list over the next couple of months, and you think there's a natural tie, then yes, bring that up, propose something to them, but don't go into it with the expectation of trying to pitch something and close something. You're really trying to reset this relationship where it's more of a business relationship. You want to understand about their business and reset, the playing field there, so that they know that you're the person who's going to help them, consult them on their business, and achieve their goals and outcomes. So don't go into it pitching anything, but from those conversations, you're going to find opportunities. There's going to be something that they tell you that you think, whether it's right now or down the road, like, here's a good opportunity to pitch this. Maybe they have a membership. Maybe now it makes sense to do something for their group or do something for their employees. Or maybe there's a referral opportunity. Maybe there's people in their network or people that they know that they can refer you to. But the first step is really resetting and having business conversations with them, not about tickets. Then, once you've dove into your current book and you've explored the opportunities for cross sells, upsells, everything like that, that's when you'll start to go outbound. And if you don't have a current book of business, look inside your organization's book of business, talk to your leaders, talk to those who manage accounts, and understand, why do people purchase? Are there testimonials? Are there case studies? Are there things that can help, speed up your business acumen and understanding of how companies use your product, so that when you're going outbound and you're talking to new businesses, you can use those stories, you can use those anecdotes. You're just more informed on how people use your product. And over time, you'll start to have your own stories. But if you're starting out new, you'll probably have to borrow stories from your colleagues or clients that already purchased from your product, from your organization as a whole, as you're going out and having these conversations. So obviously you'll work with your supervisor to build out, what does that call look like, what does the script look like. But those are just kind of high level tips to get started, when you have a current book of business. But then also, if you're looking to go outbound and reach out to new people, so then when you're having these conversations, whether it's someone currently in your book or someone outbound, you want to make sure that you're speaking to that person in the organization, speaking to their persona. Maybe they work for a tech firm, but maybe their role is head of marketing or head of sales. And you want to speak more to, what are the challenges? What are the pain points? What are the opportunities for someone in their role? And here are things that you hear or know go on with people that have that position and that role within their industry. Not, we work with companies or we work with tech companies, but we work with specific people like you, and here's what they're telling us. Or I've spoken to, or I've worked with people like you in your role, and here's what I'm hearing from them. That just lends more credibility to you when you're having conversations. And the bar is really low for personalization right now. It's funny because I'll still get messages and I'll get emails, or outreach to me about, hey, we can help your sales team as a VP of sales. I'm not a VP of sales. I haven't been for almost 2 months now. So they're just looking at my past history on my LinkedIn, or maybe it's an AI bot that's sending it. So if you can take that extra step and personalize it more towards them, and do a little research on the front end, if you can find something that's relevant aside from, hey, we went to the same college, or hey, I know that you're from this hometown, the same hometown. That's great when you jump on a call with them, but that's not necessarily going to get you a meeting. They're busy. They don't have time for chit chat, small talk. They want to know that you're going to deliver value to them. They're going to, give them something of impact, and that's worth their time to have the conversation, not just another salesperson trying to sell them something. You get sales emails and sales calls all throughout the day. So you want to make sure that you're separating yourself from all the other salespeople out there who are, just giving them, the same basic, talking point, same basic email template that you send to everyone else, or that they send to everyone else. And you want to personalize it based on what you've learned about them. It's not going to guarantee the meeting, but it definitely separates yourself from the competition. And if you don't know what some of those pain points are, or challenges are, or opportunities are within their industry or within their specific job title, I've shared this before. Use ChatGPT. It's really good for that. You can plug it in and say, I work for XYZ sales team or sports team. I'm a salesperson. Here's who I'm trying to book a meeting with. Give me some tips here. What are challenges that they face? What are the current opportunities in their industry? What are the top priorities for someone in that role in 2024? That's not going to be the same challenge for everyone that you speak with, but at least it gets the conversation started. And then you could ask them, hey, if they say that they're not facing that challenge, you can ask them, what are the challenges that you're facing? Now you're into a conversation. The next thing I would say as a tip is leveraging your technology. It seems basic, but CRM. Put everything in CRM. Put your accounts in there, put your contacts in there. I know some salespeople that only do it if they have a good conversation, or maybe they're just not really good at it at all. And it seems like it's more tedious and it's more for your leadership and your analytics team. But this is going to help you a ton because it's going to allow you to put all your notes in there, track all your accounts, keep up with all your contacts. There's no way you can memorize all that. And if you're putting it on an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document or writing on a sticky note, now you're doing double work, but put it on CRM. It also allows the rest of your organization, others within your organization, to not call the same leads that you're calling or work in the same accounts and just have more visibility. But more than anything, it's for you to stay organized and stay on top of that. Seems basic, but so many salespeople don't do that. LinkedIn. If you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, this is an even bigger plus. But if you don't have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, there's a ton that you can do with just the basic LinkedIn. It allows you to do more thoughtful research on the people you're reaching out to. I would connect with all the prospects and clients that it is that you're looking to work with, and see if they're posting. And if they do, comment on their post, like their post, and don't just comment, "Hey, great thought," but like actually share some insight as to why you thought that was a good post, and have a valuable comment or a comment of value that you put on there. It seems against what we're trying to do, that we're trying to sell right away, but even if you just wait a couple days, a couple weeks before you do that first outreach and you engage with them on LinkedIn, that's another opportunity to network, and then you may separate yourself more because there's name recognition. They're like, oh, that person engage with my content, engage with my post, because you don't get many if you're posting, especially if you're not posting regularly. So you're definitely going to stand out and differentiate yourself, but leverage that as a tool. It's not necessarily just for selling. It is a social network. So just like if you were going to an in-person networking event, you're not going in there necessarily like, hey, buy my tickets. You're going to meet people. Some may be in market to talk to you, and that's great. Others may not, but you keep their business card, or you keep their information for down the road, or you tell them what you do. And then as a need comes down the road, they reach out to you. Same with LinkedIn. Get on there. If you're afraid to start posting, I would encourage to start doing it at least once a month, and then maybe a couple times a month, and then hopefully you're up to once a week. And that just helps you gain more followers and tell your story, and more people just know who you are within the community, and maybe people come to you inbound, so it's not so much outbound. So leverage that as best you can on LinkedIn. Tons of tips out there online and YouTube on how you can best leverage LinkedIn as a salesperson. I would dive into all that and use that for your gain and for your advantage. If you have like a database provider, so a Zoom Info, Sales Intel, there's Apollo, there's many out there, use that to your advantage too. Build lead lists within that. Use that for direct contact information. I think most sellers out there who are selling B2B have it. So that just helps you get directly to the person and do direct outreach. And as you're doing your sequences and your outreach and everything like that, you can get directly to them. But don't just use it to look up information. Build list out, be strategic, be targeted in your outreach, and use those to your advantage. The last thing I would say is leverage and embrace virtual meetings. The pandemic changed a lot for us, so many people prefer more Zoom, prefer more like Microsoft Teams and virtual meetings and things like that. So I would use that to your advantage. And on each meeting, I would record that. One, that allows you to make sure that you don't miss anything as you go back and review it. If there's any notes you forgot to take, or just allows you to really be engaged in the conversation, you don't have to remember to take notes all the time. But then two, it helps you, just like an athlete would watch their game film. It allows you to watch the video, see, maybe I should have asked this question. Watch it with your manager, and they can critique you and give you constructive feedback as well, so that when you run your next meeting, you can go back and say, hey, here's what I did well, here's what I didn't do well, but you have that documented and you can review that when you need to. So So those are tips on leveraging technology. And the last thing I'll say before I wrap up here is, save your venue. So your ballpark, your stadium, your arena for when someone is in market or there's interest. So that could come at different stages in the process. They could come interested right out the gate. They called inbound, hey, I've done my research. I want to, look at your products. I'm ready to go. If they're ready to purchase, obviously sell them right there, or maybe they buy online. But if you can get them out in the ballpark or the venue, do that. But I think a lot of people default to getting them to the ballpark or getting them to the stadium first when there's not actually interest yet. If you're going cold out to somebody, you probably want to start with a virtual meeting first and really set the stage for the opportunities because they're not at that point yet. Use your venue for closing, for when someone's already excited and interested about your product, and when they're in market. Up until that point, use virtual. Go out to their office if you need to do something somewhere else off site, and then bring them on site for an event to close them, or bring them to a game, or just bring them on a dark day to show them different seats and things like that. Once you're at that point in the process, I would not do that up front because, again, we're selling business outcomes. We're not selling sports tickets. So at the end, once you've figured out where you can help them and where you can consult them, and here's how we can help you achieve your goals, now we do it at a venue, we do it at a ballpark, we do it at a stadium, and here's how we differentiate from anything else that's out there because this is a pretty cool opportunity that a lot of people don't get to have. So those would be my tips if you're starting out as a new seller, even an experienced seller, just getting back into B2B. I'll recap for you. There's no silver bullet. Start with your current book and then start to work outbound. Know who the persona is that you're speaking with. So know exactly where they're at and what they do for their company, and differentiate your outreach based on that. Leverage your technology, so CRM, LinkedIn, your database provider, recording your meetings, and then save your venue for last. Bring them to the ballpark, bring them to the stadium once they're in market and there's interest in your product, not on the front set, not at the beginning. Use that for virtual or going out of office to their place for your meeting, and then bring them down to close them. So hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your feedback. I'll be back with another video next week, but appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks.